Never forgive these 7 betrayals from your siblings. When we think about betrayal, we often imagine strangers, coworkers, or failed romantic relationships. But the deepest betrayals, the ones that shake us to our core, often come from where we least expect them, within the family, especially from siblings. Siblings are supposed to be our co-pilots through childhood, partners in crime, the ones who share the inside jokes, the old toys, the painful memories. They know the version of you that existed before the world asked you to be someone else. But what happens when that shared history is turned into ammunition? What happens when a sibling becomes the source of pain rather than comfort? This is a hard conversation, because no one wants to admit that the very people who share your blood might also have betrayed your soul. Today, we're going to talk about 5 powerful categories of betrayal that often go unspoken. These aren't just childhood spats or disagreements. These are emotional violations that can shape your sense of worth, trust, and belonging. And while forgiveness is a virtue, not all betrayals deserve reconciliation. Sometimes, what we need more than forgiveness is clarity and the courage to let go. Point 1: weaponizing your vulnerability. You told them things no one else knew. You opened your heart when it was breaking. You shared your fears, your trauma, your shame, thinking it was safe with them. But one day, your own words were thrown back at you. In anger, in gossip, in front of others. This is one of the most painful betrayals, when a sibling weaponizes your vulnerability, because that moment teaches you, you were never safe with me. I once spoke with a woman in her 40s who said, "My sister still jokes about the time I was suicidal in college. She laughs about how dramatic I was. But that wasn't a phase, it was the darkest time of my life." And she turns it into dinner conversation. What she experienced wasn't just disrespect, it was emotional betrayal. When someone uses your lowest moments to elevate themselves or diminish you, that's not love, that's power play. And no, it's not forgivable just because they're family. Point 2: competing instead of supporting. A healthy sibling dynamic is rooted in mutual respect. But some siblings aren't content unless they're winning, even if it means you have to lose. They mock your accomplishments. They one-up your pain. They downplay your success. I met a man who said his older brother always responded to his achievements with, "Must be nice. I never had things handed to me like you," even after he started his own business from scratch. This isn't rivalry. This is resentment masked as love. When a sibling chooses to compete with you instead of celebrate you, they betray the essence of what siblings are meant to be: mirrors of support, not shadows of insecurity. It's hard to forgive someone who never clapped when you were winning, because that silence taught you not to trust joy. Point 30: abandoning you when you needed them most. Some betrayals aren't explosive, they come in the form of silence, absence, avoidance. It's when you were grieving the loss of a parent, and they didn't show up. It's when you went through a divorce, and they acted like nothing happened. It's when you were battling anxiety, and they told you to just get over it. When you're at your most fragile, and your sibling chooses to disappear, it leaves a wound no apology can fully mend. I remember someone once saying, "My brother was the best man at my wedding but disappeared when my wife died. I didn't need answers. I needed him." Some people confuse forgiveness with pretending it didn't matter, but let me be clear: emotional abandonment matters. It teaches you that pain isolates, even from those who should have stayed. And sometimes we forgive too quickly because we're afraid of facing the truth they left when it counted most. Point 4: siding with your abuser or toxic parent. This is perhaps one of the most scaring forms of betrayal, when your sibling sees your pain and still chooses the side that hurts you. Whether it was a narcissistic parent, an abusive partner, or a toxic relative, you expected your sibling to say, "I see you, I believe you." Instead, they said, "Are you sure it happened like that?" Or, "Mom didn't mean it that way." They gaslighted your truth. One woman shared her story of growing up with a violent father. Her sister now tells people she exaggerates. "Our childhood wasn't that bad." Imagine living your whole life healing from trauma, and the one person who lived through it with you rewrites the script to protect the abuser. That's not misremembering. That's betrayal. There is no neutral ground in abuse. If your sibling chooses silence, or worse, defends your oppressor, then no, forgiveness isn't required. Distance is. Point 50: undermining your healing and boundaries. Healing is messy, growth is uncomfortable, and setting boundaries can threaten those who benefit from your silence. Sometimes, when you start standing up for yourself, saying no, walking away, going to therapy, your sibling doesn't respond with support, they respond with mockery. They say, you've changed. They say, you're overreacting. They say, now you think you're better than us. No, you're not better. You're healing. When a sibling mocks your healing, they're not just being rude. They're saying, I preferred you broken. I liked you better when you didn't ask for respect. That is not love. That is control. You do not owe forgiveness to someone who tears down your healing journey. Your growth is sacred, and anyone who ridicules it is telling you clearly they were never rooting for your wholeness. Your healing is not conditional. Here's the truth many of us were never told. Family loyalty is earned, not automatic. Just because someone shares your DNA doesn't mean they share your values, your heart, or your growth. Forgiveness is a beautiful thing, but it's not a door prize. It's not something you hand out just to keep the peace while your soul stays at war. You have the right to protect your peace. You have the right to call betrayal what it is. You have the right to say, this hurt too deeply to go back. And you are allowed to walk forward, even if that means walking alone.